When people hear the word psychopath, their minds immediately paint a picture of a shadowed alleyway and a cold-blooded serial killer. But psychology reveals something much more disturbing. Psychopaths are not all the same. Some explode with sudden rage, some manipulate silently from the shadows, and some rise to the highest positions of corporate and political power while hiding their true personality. Psychopathy is not a black and white diagnosis. It exists on a complex spectrum. To understand this hidden world, we must look past the movie stereotypes and examine the actual biological and psychological profiles that define the different faces of this condition. The primary psychopath, the cold predator. You lie to an investigator's face about a devastating crime. Your heart rate remains at a calm 60 beats per minute, your palms are completely dry, and you feel absolutely no pressure. The silence in the room is your playground. This eerie calm under pressure is emotional detachment. It is the defining feature of the primary psychopath. In primary psychopathy, the brain's fear center, the amygdala, is highly underactive. This structural difference means they simply do not experience fear, anxiety, or guilt the way others do. Society expects them to be outwardly violent, but researchers note that their biggest weapon is actually absolute emotional control. They use their high confidence, superficial charm, and calculating patience to strategically manipulate situations without ever feeling the emotional weight of the damage they cause. They are not cartoon villains waiting in the dark. They are individuals operating with a completely silent emotional alarm system. The secondary psychopath, the explosive predator. Someone insults your intelligence during a casual meeting. Instantly, a white-hot wave of rage floods your chest and you smash your fist onto the table, screaming at the top of your lungs. The fuse is already burnt. This highly volatile reactivity is reactive aggression. It is the core of the secondary psychopath. Unlike the primary type, the secondary psychopath's brain is driven by high anxiety, emotional instability, and trauma-related arousal. Their prefrontal cortex struggles to regulate a hypersensitive nervous system, causing them to make reckless, impulsive decisions and explode during conflicts. People often lump them together with cold, calculating masterminds. They ignore that these individuals are often acting out a deep, unregulated emotional pain and chronic distress rather than a carefully planned strategy. They are not cold, chess-playing strategists. They are highly volatile individuals surviving a constant, chaotic storm of internal instability. The successful psychopath, the hidden predator. You smoothly fire 50 employees over a video call, offering a perfectly practiced, sympathetic smile. 10 minutes later, you are eating a quiet lunch without a single passing thought about how those families will pay rent. The corporate ladder is incredibly easy to climb when you don't feel gravity. This ability to thrive and maintain high status is functional psychopathy. It defines the successful psychopath. These individuals possess high intelligence, excellent social skills, and strong executive functioning. Their brains can accurately read and mimic human emotions, using cognitive empathy, without actually feeling those emotions, lacking affective empathy. Many believe all psychopaths end up behind bars. In reality, competitive environments like high-stakes business, politics, and high-pressure professions actively reward these traits, allowing successful psychopaths to channel their lack of guilt into socially accepted avenues of power. They are not failing at life or breaking obvious laws. They are highly adaptive individuals who have successfully turned their lack of empathy into a career advantage. The covert psychopath, the silent predator. You quietly sigh and mention how tired you are to a close friend, watching them immediately apologize for their own success and offer you their time and money. You smile inward, knowing exactly which emotional buttons to press. The trap is completely invisible. This low-profile exploitation is relational manipulation. It is the hallmark of the covert psychopath. Instead of relying on loud aggression or obvious dominance, their brains favor subtle, reward-seeking social strategies. They map out your emotional vulnerabilities, using guilt, charm, and feigned weakness to exploit your empathy from the shadows. People look out for aggressive, intimidating bullies. They do not realize that some of the most destructive psychopaths present themselves as quiet, friendly, or deeply misunderstood. They aren't screaming for attention or flexing their muscles. They are silent spiders, quietly weaving emotional webs to drain the people around them. The impulsive psychopath, the thrill seeker. You weave through highway traffic at 100 miles an hour, cutting off vehicles without a second thought. The potential of a fatal crash doesn't terrify you. It is the only thing that makes you feel alive. Normal life is a slow death. This constant search for intense sensation is thrill-seeking impulsivity. It defines the impulsive psychopath. Their brains suffer from a severe chronic underarousal. Because their baseline nervous system is so quiet, they require extreme, high-risk stimuli like dangerous driving, reckless spending, or constant stimulation just to feel a normal level of alertness. People assume their reckless behavior is always driven by cruelty. In reality, their primary struggle is not a desire to hurt others, but a profound neurological inability to tolerate boredom and plan for the future. They are not trying to destroy the world around them. They are simply running a high-speed marathon to outrun the crushing weight of their own internal boredom. The criminal psychopath, the dangerous variant. You break into a locked building, steal a family's life savings, and walk away feeling nothing but a mild sense of relief. The flashing blue lights in your rearview mirror barely register as a threat to your freedom. The rules of society simply do not apply to you. This chronic, reckless rule-breaking is antisocial deviance. It defines the criminal psychopath. Their brains combine low empathy with a massive deficit in passive avoidance learning. This means they do not learn from punishment, repeatedly engaging in dangerous, illegal, or fraudulent behaviors despite knowing the severe consequences. Society thinks crime is what defines psychopathy, but criminologists emphasize that crime is merely a possible outcome of psychopathic personality traits, not a requirement of the disorder itself. They are not just simple rule breakers. They are individuals whose brains are structurally blind to the emotional and legal boundaries of human society. The sadistic psychopath, the pain seeker. You deliberately humiliate a coworker in front of the entire office, watching their eyes well up with tears. A sudden, intoxicating rush of pure pleasure warms your chest. Their agony is your fuel. This active enjoyment of suffering is sadism. It characterizes the sadistic psychopath. In a typical brain, seeing someone suffer triggers the pain matrix, causing discomfort. In a sadistic psychopath, witnessing pain activates the brain's reward centers, releasing dopamine and creating a feeling of pleasure and dominance. Many assume all psychopaths are sadistic. In reality, a psychopath can lack empathy without taking pleasure in your pain. The sadistic variant is a distinct, much darker intersection of personality traits. They are not just cold and indifferent. They are individuals who actively convert the suffering of others into their own personal joy. The narcissistic psychopath, the entitled master. You demand absolute obedience from everyone in your life, convinced that rules are meant only for lesser human beings. When someone dares to criticize you, you instantly erase them from your life without a second thought. You are the center of the universe. This grandiosity mixed with coldness is the narcissistic psychopathic overlap. It defines the narcissistic psychopath. This type blends the fragile, attention-seeking deficits of pathological narcissism with the fearless, cold-hearted detachment of psychopathy. Their brain's self-processing networks are hyperinflated, viewing others strictly as tools or audience members. People use these terms interchangeably, but they are different. A narcissist desperately craves your admiration to survive. A psychopath wants your control. A narcissistic psychopath demands both. Their extreme arrogance prevents them from ever acknowledging they need help, making therapy virtually impossible. They are not just vain or self-absorbed. They are individuals who genuinely believe that other human beings exist solely to serve their ego and their will. The Machiavellian psychopath, the master strategist. You spend 6 months quietly building alliances and planting subtle doubts about a rival. When they are finally dismissed, you step into their role, offering a perfectly scripted speech of condolence. Every move was calculated from day one. This highly strategic, long-term manipulation is Machiavellianism. It characterizes the Machiavellian psychopath. Named after the political philosopher Machiavelli, their brains prioritize cold executive planning and prospective memory over immediate impulsive gains. They possess a highly developed theory of mind, allowing them to map out human social dynamics like a master chess player. We expect psychopaths to be chaotic and impatient. This variant proves that some can wait years, operating with an icy calm patience to secure absolute power. They view psychological insight not as a tool for healing, but as a manual to better exploit those around them. They are not acting on raw, angry impulse. They are playing a lifelong, calculated game where everyone else is merely a pawn. The female psychopath, the social weapon. You execute a flawless, quiet whisper campaign that completely ruins a close friend's social reputation. You comfort them as they cry while secretly knowing you are the one who pulled the trigger. The damage is completely invisible to the eye. This indirect aggression is relational bullying. It is how female psychopathy often manifests. Due to both biological differences and social conditioning, the female psychopathic brain tends to avoid overt physical violence, which carries a high risk of failure or capture. Instead, it weaponizes social dynamics, reputation, and emotional exploitation. Historically, clinical research focused almost exclusively on male prison populations, creating a myth that women cannot be psychopaths. In reality, female psychopaths exist, but their methods are far more subtle and relational. Because their behavior doesn't always fit the standard criteria for physical violence, they frequently go unnoticed by clinicians. They are not non-existent or less dangerous. They simply use social structures and psychological warfare rather than physical force to get exactly what they want. The Dark Triad, the ultimate overlap. You look at a room full of people and instantly categorize them by how they can benefit you. You feel absolutely no guilt for exploiting them, and you expect them to thank you for the privilege. The light of empathy has completely gone out. This toxic combination is the Dark Triad. It is the convergence of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. In this state, the brain's default mode network and empathy circuits are heavily compromised. The individual lives in a highly self-centered reality where empathy is entirely absent, manipulation is a default tool, and self-inflation is absolute. Many believe these are three identical traits. In reality, they are distinct psychological constructs that can exist independently, but when they fuse together, they create some of the most formidable personalities in human psychology. Clinical intervention is incredibly difficult because the individual's entire personality matrix is wired to reject vulnerability. These are not mere personality quirks or bad attitudes. They are the darkest corners of human behavior, operating in perfect destructive harmony.